Hey, how you doing, listeners? This is Gina Versa. It's another episode of Speedrun the podcast. Today we're talking the movie Him that just came out about 2 weeks ago at the time of this recording. And today we have a friend of the show who's been on, I think like two or three times now. Um, yeah, my good friend Daniel. He's been on my sets as an AD. Producer, and you do some writing too. But yeah, welcome back, Daniel. How you doing?
Happy to be back. This is my third time. And it's a milestone, not only because it's my first time doing speed run, but it's also my first time talking bad about about a movie.
Yeah.
So I like that sort of like switching it up a little bit.
Hmm.
Movies can't be good if they're not also bad. There has to be a distinguished. So I appreciate contributing to that spectrum of conversation about movies. Um, on the side that hurts a little bit more to do, but
Yeah.
is necessary for the culture.
Right. Movies are subjective. We could always talk about it and have different takes and see how we feel. So yeah. Yeah, I saw this with you the other week and we were not a fan.
Well, I'm about to say I might be improperly assuming what you might be talking about. I think maybe you were a little bit more forgiving of it
A
than
little
me.
bit more. Yeah.
But also, I'm not going to tear it apart into shreds. This
No.
is actually a movie that had real potential, and that's actually the sad part of it.
Yeah.
And if you look at criticism, or you look at a lot of people didn't like it. I think they discarded it as kind of one big mess. I think actually what it was is a good movie that needed more time to be what it was, and and just completely kind of I don't know cut itself off at the knees like
Yeah.
halfway 60% through and just becomes a mess and there's no follow through with characters and you're left without a sense of like place and time and why this is happening.
Hmm.
And that's not the case for the first half of the movie that I think stays in but we'll get into it.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll definitely talk about it. But Daniel, if this is someone's like first time listening, having you on as a guest, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I do love. Well, I should say I've worked locally here in Los Angeles in the indie scene over the years as an AD for short films and music videos primarily, and like web series. Working with friends primarily, but I had the opportunity, luckily, to like travel out of state a couple
Mhm.
times, and I've done couple a few gigs I'm proud of, but also have a full life. Otherwise, I love sports and I follow a lot of
Yeah.
sports and I keep up the day to day. It's my favorite distraction from what is the madness, particularly of our current world. It's a great escape.
Hmm.
Such as movies as well. But I love to movies to bring me. I actually look to movies to bring me closer to reality sometimes and
Yeah.
to give me commentary on reality that I don't want sports to ever do. Please.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep politics out of sports guy, but not in a negative, weird way. Like I love
No.
when athletes use their platform. I'm a political
Yes.
person too. I'm also an activist, so there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before I should say that before I say the next thing, which is
Yeah. No,
like
of
my
course.
least favorite place is politics and sports, but it is actually a great distraction. That said, I love when athletes use their platform to make the world a better place. And shout out to the WNBA that's playing right now. I'm actually watching
Hmm.
the WNBA finals today, not the football games, which I might watch a football game or something. I have work later on, so we'll see how much time
Yeah.
I have. But
Hmm.
pay the players what they're worth.
Yeah.
Please, if you like sports, follow women's sports.
Hmm.
There's a lot of important political things happening in sports, but it's a great distraction. It's a great escape for me. Um, Otherwise, yeah. Again, also been involved locally in the political activism scene for many years here in Los Angeles, and yeah, there you go. That's a little bit about me.
Yeah. No, of course. Yeah. It's you know, the having you on set's always been great, and then also, yeah, you always have keep me very informed on issues. So it's always a pleasure talking to you, especially with some of the stuff that's going on, and it's even better having you on this podcast now. So yeah.
But now I want to talk Football.
Yeah, football. Yeah, again, the movie is Him, and yeah, it's very football centric. We could kind of say initial thoughts before I start the timer, but yeah, this was. It seemed like it was just very much billed as like a thriller involving football, kind of like breaking stuff down about the culture of it. And yeah, it had a very interesting premises. It was Jordan Peele too. I mean, I love Jordan Peele.
Is very important, which was apparently a lot of people. I didn't. I mean, I work on stuff. I don't misread this stuff when it happens. But I knew he was just a producer on it. But apparently, a lot of people thought it was his next movie because of how much he was used. His name was used in advertising.
Yeah.
The funny part, though, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's a bit of a Kirkland brand Jordan Peele movie, but
Yeah.
which is not always a bad thing. I mean, there's of course the 10, 15 years of post Pulp Fiction like Quentin Tarantino knockoffs. That when a really exciting cinematic style comes into the mainstream like Jordan Peele did with Get Out in 2016.
Mhm.
I'm definitely here for really good interpretations of that style and usage of that style from other filmmakers, especially if
Yeah.
the primary filmmaker who is the primary sort of auteur, so to speak, attached to that style, attached to that way of making movies, especially if they're like the overseer, like
Hmm.
one of
Yeah.
the primary artistic overseers of the production, from script to finish. So again, didn't write this, but he is a primary creative producer on the film.
Right.
Just for there are also, I mean, he has also executive produced films, which a lot of directors and actors in the Hollywood scene, of course, attach their names, are involved in funding but
Yeah.
he is a primary producer on this film. It's one of the, is his one of his production company, helped make this film,
Monkey Paw.
and
Yeah.
and you can see it, but uh, is it a worthy successor to his previous work? Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get into the meat of it. Well, I guess, without any other further introduction on this movie, which presumably everyone should have seen, or if they didn't, yeah, we'll go into full spoilers. But yeah, I'll start the timer for you, Daniel, and then we'll go from there. So if you're ready, we can speed run the podcast. And starting now. So Daniel, what was your first impressions of the trailers for him?
So we're talking today because it was in the marketing of this film where I reached out to you like, yo, when this comes out, I'd like to see it and I'd like to kind of talk about it in your podcast.
Hmm.
Because this is completely up my alley of films that I always want to see. I'm again, because I'm a sports and film fan, I'm also I talked about this on previous, I think, podcasts, but I really love the intersection of sports and film narrative, right? And I'm a big fan of art house cinema. So to see the intersection of sports movie and art house cinema and horror in the milieu of a Jordan Peele type of movie was very exciting. I was really looking forward to it. And the first trailers looked. I'd say I was like blown away by them, but it also didn't give up a lot, and I thought that was interesting. I was like, "Ooh, this movie might go to a lot of different places.
Hmm.
It's tapping in themes I care about." I'm someone who grew up in a sort of very uber ultra masculine milieu of sports and
Hmm.
have had my complicated feelings and complicated personal evolution sort of um, dissociating myself with that world over the years and then kind of coming back to it in my own way. So this type of movie taps into, at least in the trailers, was tapping into type of anxieties I still feel about sports to this day.
Hmm.
Again, this sort of hyper masculinity of it, the hyper violence of it, the hyper individualism of sports, all these things that I'm not a fan of in sports, and I think provide and toxify intoxicate, I guess, sports in a way that's not really that makes it less fun.
Yeah.
So I was quite interested in this film
Yeah.
based on its trailers at least.
It hyped it up for you. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then obviously, are you a Jordan Peele fan?
Gene. I saw this one in the show notes. So I will tell you, someone was very much interested. I think I'll be interested for quite a while in whatever Jordan Peele wants to do next. I think as an artist, as a filmmaker, every film he makes has at least three or four kind of compelling elements to it that
Uh-huh.
like just show to you that this a person really thinks through his work, both intuitive and cerebral at the same time, funny, wants to entertain. I unfortunately think he, he really started his career his directing career out with such a bang with Get Out that I really don't think,
Yeah.
unfortunately, Us and Nope really even come close to both those movies. I know there are people who think Us and Nope are some of the great horror films of the past 10 years. I'm not one of those people at all.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think they're both kind of messes. And Get Out is just I think Get Out's one of the best horror films ever made. So
Yeah.
I should be a Jordan Peele fan in the same way that like and of like Giannis Antetokounmpo. I guess I should use NBA references, but like
Yeah. Yeah.
Giannis Antetokounmpo a few years ago on won an NBA championship, and his teams have just been kind of like sucky ever since. There's lots of pride athletes I could pull right now
Right. Right.
that like make it to Super Bowl, make it to NBA championship like their first or second year, and you're like, oh wow, this person's gonna be. And this guy I'm talking about, it wasn't his first or second year, but like, they yeah. I'm not gonna pull I'm not gonna pull any comparisons right now,
Yeah.
but I
Sure.
really would love to be more of a fan of Jordan Peele for sure.
Okay. That's fair enough. What makes football the quintessential American sport?
Man, for the whole family. And I know it's really sad and cynical, but this is credit to the movie, which kind of taps into this very idea of um like we're like it's a easy I'm not the first person to make this
First.
to share his idea. But
Hmm.
we're in Iran. We're very much the American West is very much like the modern Roman Empire, and this is our gladiatorial. So this is our gladiatorial. Fuck it, I'm gonna
Yeah. Yeah.
keep. It's a tongue twister, but it's our gladiators, and well, like boxing and UFC, especially boxing, which is was one of the major sports of the 20th century, but is more of has a much smaller audience today in comparison to other sports. That's always been violence for adults, but football is something that the whole family watches on Sunday. It's
Hmm.
something you watch around the barbecue. You might have out. You might go to the beach, or you'll go to the stadium and tailgate.
Hmm.
And it's something that again the kids can watch, the adults can watch. Um, but it is simulated violence for the whole family. That's what makes it a quintessential American sport, and why as sad as cynical it is to say, that's why it's the most entertaining sport to watch, and it is very much a very entertaining sport to watch. It's a bunch of like
Hmm.
sumo wrestlers and UFC esque like
Yeah.
bodies just running into each other at 500 miles per hour.
Hmm.
Um,
Getting
while
concussions.
one guy plays his version of the modern, like not modern, but his version of pitching.
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Basically. Um.
yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
is.
Okay. And then is there any football game that's kind of like the game that like your favorite out of a game that sticks out of your head?
Individual game, right? In
Sure.
history.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my favorite game I ever watched, the one I really, if the San Francisco 49ers had I'm from San Francisco, so my primary football team that I follow is the 49ers.
Hmm.
If they had won in my lifetime, I think that would be the whatever Super Bowl they would have won. That would have been the answer. But since that didn't happen, the coolest game ever for me was man, I should look up maybe 2010. It was the first Super Bowl the New York Giants faced the New England Patriots. Tom Brady in his prime. Little baby brother Eli Manning in his prime.
Yeah.
The Giants, the New England Patriots were one game away from being the second team in history to have an undefeated season, which is an incredible accomplishment. Would have been an incredible accomplishment. Would have been probably the crowning achievement of both Tom Brady, the quarterback's career, and his famous coach Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Would have been the crowning achievement of their careers of their lifetimes. And they would both go on to be the respect. We'll talk about this too. They both go on to be the respective goats of their profession, I think,
Hmm.
and their role. But little baby brother Eli Manning, who I don't think it ever will be able to be compared to his older brother, who won one less Super Bowl than Eli
Yeah.
Manning. Walk into I believe it was Super Bowl 38, 30. Someone I can look it up later and correct myself, but the number of Super Bowl is too important. But walk in and nearly lose a really close game, a very tight defensive game that otherwise was, I think, not too memorable, except for what is the coolest, absolute coolest play I think I've ever seen in the history of any sport. Like I've never seen a play, or I've seen very few plays that, shocked or wowed me or like his game saving throw to David Tyree, like a 30-yard pass to David Tyree on fourth down.
Hmm.
Defense collapsing on Eli Manning, a second away from just ending the Super Bowl, and because this would have been turnover on downs. Patriots could have
Jeez.
need it,
Yeah.
run out the time.
Hmm.
My mom just texted me.
Okay. Yeah.
Before
Yeah.
they run out, sorry, but before they run out before they could have just ran out the time. But he lobs a heave to David Tyree, center of the field. David Tyree catches the ball on his
Uh-huh.
helmet with a defensive man on him, catches the ball with his helmet, and proceeds to hold the ball on his way down to the ground, and literally is called a catch. The referee whistles, calls catch while his hand is holding on to
Jesus.
the ball. It's the most, maybe the closest to not being a catch you could ask. It's just barely a catch. And yeah, I think I can't
Yeah,
remember
that.
all the plays that happened after, but they go on to finish that drive and what would have and it's just this incredible moment of David over Goliath. And it's what every sports fan wants. It's what you look for. You only see it a few times in your life, but it's those moments that make being a sports fan all worth it.
Yeah, you really painted the picture for me. Talk about Marlon Wayne's performance in the movie.
Once the movie gets tough, maybe with the exception of Julia Fox, who I think is someone who completely understood that what movie she was in from start to finish,
Yeah.
or at least never had enough
Oh,
time to go off.
and
Oh,
sorry,
we're
we are
done.
out of time. Yeah,
Oh
10
no,
minutes. It's all
we
right.
tried.
You tried. It's you got through, well, five of the 12 questions, but you know, it's I loved your answers. It was some really insightful takes. But it's not if you win or lose, it's how you play the game. So
And love talking sports and movies, and I think I got a lot out that I wanted to say. Anyways, I think I got ahead of sir. I was able to say things I would have answered later on too. I
mm,
answered a couple questions a little early. I did the goats, for you.
yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah. I
yeah.
was
I'll
yeah,
do
next
better next
time.
time though. This is my first
Yeah,
time. My first time.
exactly.
Yeah.
We'll have you back on. I'm very interested. What was your who was your football goat?
Too many uh it's a sport, so like a basketball can have like a single greatest player of all time because it's only 5 on 5, and it's just small enough for one person to have such an outsized impact that they can be the quote unquote goat. And in football you have to do it by position because there's so many different positions that contribute to, I think, the overall thing. But the quarterback goat would have been Tom Brady, his coach Bill
Oh, okay.
Belichick.
Yeah.
Receiver goat would, but I think the most undisputed goat in football is that receiving position, which is Jerry Rice, who is like
Mm,
by far the greatest receiver of all time. And like the next 2 through 10 are all debatable, but he is the longest, an elite core, the one that his game, probably best receiver, or at least one of the best receivers for like 15 years.
Yeah.
Had a longevity and a peak together that, receivers, some receivers have a great longevity, some have an incredible peak. Calvin Johnson might have had the best peak receiving in history, right? But
Hmm.
Jerry Rice is longevity and peak the greatest receiver in history of the game, and is the most decorated. And um yeah, and there's a few
Okay.
positions I think every position you can probably dispute one person or another. Even Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are, some people might say, there's, people like Joe Montana or Patrick Mahomes, and they'd be wrong,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
but it's fair. But there's no there's no second Jerry Rice. There's no one that competes with Jerry Rice, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. That's yeah, I wanted to hear what you had to say for that one. But yeah, Daniel, any final thoughts on him or anything you want to say?
I mean, get I guess I get see it or we're interested. I don't recommend it. And save your time. I gave you all the information you need. We gave you all the information we need on this podcast. Like,
Yeah.
save your time. I really one thing that happens is here is we have a certain level of character development in the first half that just, like Tim Heidecker's character here is just
Yeah.
not fleshed out. It's just sort of a
No.
predatory, weird agent. Marlon Wayans is just sort of like, unhinged asshole with like
Hmm.
very little material sort of character attached to him. And then Tariq Withers just plays just Disney Channel, level
Hmm.
of like, I'm scared and why am I here? And there's like
Yeah.
no agency to his character. And it like it unfortunately, I think it's really unfortunately missing 20 or 30 minutes to flesh out some of
Right.
like what makes Marlon Wayans tick, why he's here, like why he's like more than just like they really they play into a sort of devil, God, savior,
Hmm.
antichrist kind of like contrast here that it feels symbolic, and I don't really, I need more done with the characters and not just, there's a lot of symbolism in this movie and not a
Hmm.
lot of like real people feeling like,
Right.
they're pulled, that have sort of edges to them, that have creases to them, that they're all archetypes, and they're not filled in well.
Yeah.
And that's, I think it's not the design of any of these characters. I think we're just literally missing more information,
Hmm.
that could have made these characters more interesting, right? Seeing someone like a Tim Heidecker
Yeah.
working his magic,
Yeah. I love Tim. Tim is like one of my favorite you know, comedic actors and just people in general. So it would have been cool to see him like do more with that role.
I want to say shout out to Julia Fox. So I want
Yeah.
more Julia Fox in lots of movies, man.
She was good. Go.
She's probably my favorite thing about Uncut Gems too.
Yeah.
I've been slowly but surely just totally been. I'm so here for Julia Fox because she also, her character also had enough time to be interesting too, which I
Yeah.
really enjoyed. Like, she got two or three scenes where everything about her both played into the milieu of what's happening around it. She plays sort of unhinged but kooky, but
Hmm.
mysterious, but like she's everything you want in she's what you want the rest of the environment to be too. You want the rest of it, the movie, to be as interesting as her.
Yeah. She
Um,
never goes full goblin mode, as she says.
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
And she's a good anchor in the movie too, because she's also the most sane in of like the characters. So it's
Yeah.
like it's someone that he can, while you're kind of like, I don't know where I am and what's this movie going. She like comes in and kind of holds your hand and like,
Right.
and I just like, yeah, I just really like what she did there, man. And just like, it's time for her to be a leading lady, man. If I mean, she calls me a character actress too. I don't know what, but I just want to see her in more things, and just want to see
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hope,
definitely. Yeah.
hope to see her
Hopefully.
have more meteor roles.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. See what else she can do. But yeah, I mean, him didn't quite live up to our expectations and kind of the ending, which we didn't really get into, but it just kind of just ends. There isn't really a lot of clarity or like purpose to it. So could have been a lot better, but if any audience members want to check it out, feel free. I don't know if we could if we could recommend it. But yeah, definitely some some thoughtful critiques. It's not, this podcast isn't about like tearing a movie down or like saying it's the worst movie to ever come out, because there are way worse movies than him. But yeah, it was, these were our critical thoughts on it. And, you know, uh, we talked about it for 10 minutes before we got cut off, but it was also, yeah, just good talking to you, Daniel.
I got to review it too a little bit. Give me a little chance there to talk a little more about it. So I feel like I got everything I needed to say about it too. So
Yeah, definitely. But Daniel, where can people find you at? Anything you want to plug or social media?
yeah, I keep my Insta private. It's just my social media. So no, you don't have to
Oh,
find me
okay.
anywhere.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
but
yeah.
um, you can find me in the following list of Gene's podcast too. You can always add me if you see me commenting, or please add me if you see me there. Otherwise, no, they don't have to follow me. If I if I have a project next time to talk about more, you should see. Should we talk? We've made a short film together that
Yeah.
have you kept it under wraps? You don't talk about it on the
No,
podcast yet?
we've talked about it a few times. Like we mentioned some of the crowdfunding that we're doing and our progress, but we haven't fully, there hasn't been a whole episode on it. But yeah, I guess yeah, check out Abductees, short film on Instagram. The short film we're currently in post-production on. We're wrapping up visual effects and doing all the other sort of finishing that you do for a film, color correction, sound mixing, doing the musical score. So it's all coming together. Hopefully, yeah, we could talk about that more on the podcast when there's like stuff to show for it. Yeah,
Keep an eye out for that from for your listeners and
of
for
course,
our little community here too that we have on Discord and in
cultivated.
podcasting. Yeah, yeah. I appreciate anyone who's supported so far. Want to shout you all out if you support our journey so far, and keep looking out for that. Yeah, if I have more to talk about next time, I will.
Definitely, yeah. Well, I'll be glad to have you on. Yeah, we'll definitely have you on again. Hopefully, yeah, we could have you on sooner. Yeah, in the last podcast.
I mentioned too, I'd love to be able to come on and talk about sports movies. So
Yes, yeah.
next time that opportunity appears, I you know, so put me in, coach.
There you go. Yeah, I'll talk. I don't know. Yeah, talk about whatever sports movies coming on. Love to have you back on. But yeah, that'd be great. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, G9892. You can follow the Waffle Press at the Waffle Press Podcast on Instagram, the Waffle Press on Twitter, and on Blue Sky. We're on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Please like, share, subscribe. If there's something you don't like it anyway. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We've been professionally unprofessional.